halfway through, and we're all like...
Live from WOWT, this is our First Alert 6 weather day.
Good to have you with us on this Monday morning. I'm Erin Hartley.
And I'm Cerise Cole, joined by meteorologist Jared Lansford, senior chief meteorologist Rusty Lord. Calm now, but that could change because of storm chances today.
Been a lot of First Alert weather days. They've been all about the heat before this, but today they're about the storms that we have expected to move through with a cold front later on today. So it's going to help take some of the heat out of the equation, but it also makes it a little bumpy as far as the storms go. Now, there's a couple showers out there right now. Those likely don't cause much of an issue. Front's going to be approaching. We put chances in basically for the afternoon hours. Noon is the earliest, just given where the front's going to be, but the best odds are going to be after 4 o'clock today into the evening hours as they develop a little more heat to work with. It's going to warm up far more than 90 degrees out ahead of the front. That's just about where we're going to get by noon today before the front moves through in the metro. Gusty winds, the main issue. Hail and a tornado possible, but I think it's primarily going to be wind and maybe some heavy rain that we'll watch out for, especially in the yellow shaded area here. The front sitting probably right about here right now. We'll show you where it is on radar here in a minute. And then it just keeps marching southeast. As it goes southeast, it runs into more and more energy, tries to fire off new storms. And that's the problem we're going to have today. There is the front between Takema and Blair. You can see this little green line here. A couple little showers out ahead of it. Those are kind of firing off of a different mechanism. They're struggling a little bit. Storms back here to the north are what we're going to watch for, because what will happen is storms will try to fire along the front as the afternoon goes, and then more will try to fire behind the front too, even as we go through the afternoon and evening. So pretty quiet on the radar right now. A couple little sprinkles move through, maybe a few drops on some of the cars outdoors in the Fremont area. Sun shining in the metro before some clouds move in. We're at 80 degrees. We have been above 80 degrees since the 8 o'clock hour on Friday morning. It's been almost 3 days in a row where we've had 80 degrees or warmer, and we, according to the National Weather Service, haven't had a stretch like this on record in June. So this is pretty unprecedented here. South wind at about 11 miles per hour. Thank goodness that has backed off. That was annoying all weekend long, and that's better today. 80 in Omaha, a lot of upper 70s in parts of the city right now. Cooler to the northwest, though. There's what you get behind the front, 60s and some lower 70s. So that is marching in, but it will get a little bit better overnight tonight, essentially, when some of those cooler temperatures roll in. So there's 9 a.m. Here's the front dropping in. Should be able to spike to near 90 right along that front in the metro. It's going to be warmer out ahead of it, the way it appears. So noon's the earliest we see some storms. Look down here. Look at how they got some 90-degree warmth that builds in, and that's why we get towards 4 and 5 o'clock. It runs into that hotter air, and there you go. Storms firing along and even behind the front by 4 to 5. And then look how the map just fills up as we go deeper into the evening. Any one of these could be severe, especially along the front. So you can see maybe the best odds will be just to the southeast of the metro for those severe storms with the wind and the hail potential. Ones right ahead of the front could have enough to maybe rotate and produce a tornado. Still quite a few storms left by 10 o'clock, and even behind the front there'll be some weaker storms all the way through the overnight, and we'll watch for storm potential right into the morning hours on Tuesday, where we start off with a pretty good chance of storms, and then that backs off into the afternoon. We go mid 80s, so 84 degrees will feel a lot better, but it's still going to be rather humid. Now the rainfall potential over the course of the next couple of days, let's go back here. I might have just broke my graphics. Hey, there we go. Next 2 days, the next 48 hours, you can see here, this will fill in. Give it a minute here. Graphics catching up. But you get these blues and these purples, and that's where you run into some heavier rainfall potential. You know what, live TV sometimes. We'll try again later. 84 on Tuesday, 92 on Wednesday. I think there could be several 1-inch plus rain totals, especially to the southeast of the metro. That's what I was trying to show with that map.
The forecast is hesitant, and it's not sure it wants to tell you either. I saw somebody on social media say, if you missed last week's any rain that we didn't have last week, guess what? This is your week, because it comes back a lot this week. Yeah, so many chances. You're going to look at the forecast and think it's just a complete washout. Well, that's tough to do, but we do have many more opportunities to get rain, thanks in large part because of this. It's still going to be muggy.
Even though the temperatures are going to be cooler, muggy to steamy is where the muggy meter is going to go all week long, right into the weekend. And there are a lot of opportunities for rain. This is a look at the rainfall potential over the next 5 days. So that's basically during the work week here. And you get into some of these reds, and that's where you could get some 2, 3, 4-inch rain totals. So we'll have to watch and see if there's maybe some flooding issues, depending on where each individual's round of storms go. Overall, though, some beneficial rain, but also could wash out some of your plans as we go through the course of the week. And you'll notice here, temperatures, aside from Tuesday, kind of hover right around 90 for a high all the way through the weekend. So it's still humid, it's still hot, but we're not pushing 100 degrees on this 10-day forecast. Far too many storm chances getting in the way. It's nice when all the maps and the buttons and everything work. So it's easier story to tell.
It's a test, a weather test for you. You did good. All right, to traffic now. You have an update on our favorite slowdown in the morning, I-80.
Yeah. We're running pretty slow again as you're heading to the construction zone. That's going to be a running theme with any of our delays here through the morning is construction, which we've got some changes we're going to talk about here in a little bit. But let me start you off with where we're slow right now. And it is what you're seeing right here. Now, this is actually an improvement over what it looked like about 20, 30 minutes ago as you were heading westbound on 80, approaching that Giles construction zone. But it's still a little bit sluggish. You get into the the background there. You can see things not quite moving that well, and that lines up with where the colors are the brightest here on our map showing those delays. So watch for that as you're heading to that direction. Eastbound has had some occasional lesser delays, but still showing occasionally, and I do think that'll start to flare up as we go through the next hour or so. 144th right near that interchange with I-80 also a little bit slow. So what else to watch for is this. This is what I was alluding to. You've still got about an hour plus to use this ramp here to get from Harney to 480. However, starting at 9, that is scheduled to close. This is the next phase of construction with that Harney Street Bridge. They have to do some utility work. So with that, they have to close down the on-ramp from Harney to 480. It also closes 29th Street as well. And this will be the case for the next 8 weeks. So you'll need to start thinking about some alternate routes to work your way around that. Aside from that, though, you notice the I-80 delays. You notice a little bit of a delay there on 370 as you're getting roughly around 192nd westbound. Nothing major showing up there. And otherwise, any of our delays kind of line up with just some busy intersections. 90th and Dodge, you're a little bit slow there, 72nd and Dodge, but nothing all that big as we're getting things up and running. So hopefully we can keep any of those delays at bay. Haven't really heard about any crashes just yet, so that's always encouraging as we're getting things up and running on a Monday.
Yeah, all right, that's good news. We'll take that, Jerry.
That Harney Street one, you better send out an email to everybody here at work, because everybody's going to run for that one. I'm trying to leave.
I think there's going to be a lot of people, newsroom and not, that are just kind of grumbling about all the Midtown construction too, which we're going to talk more about that in just a bit.
Great.
All right, well, now to some breaking news this morning. One person is in the hospital after a late night shooting. Authorities say it happened about 10:30 near 16th and Katy. This is a look at the scene there. One person was hospitalized with serious injury. So far, no word on what led to the shooting or details about any arrests. Stay with First Alert 6, both on air and online, as we work to learn more about this breaking story.
In the meantime, new details on a homicide investigation that happened in Omaha. Police have confirmed a man is dead. 2 others are hurt. This happened near 30th and Larimore. OPD found 20-year-old Manjel Swinney Jr. with a gunshot wound. He died at the hospital. A 35-year-old woman was also shot. She was taken to the hospital. Police tell us a third person went to the hospital by private car. No word about any arrests. In the meantime, police are trying to figure out what led up to a stabbing over the weekend. We're told this happened near 48th and Pratt. A person was taken to the hospital in critical condition. No word yet on any arrests or suspects.
All right, I'm here at the safety desk with our Maria Kate. And Maria, you have some very important information for parents when it comes to keeping their kids safe.
Absolutely. Can never do too much, right?
Okay.
So the CDC says accidental shootings are actually one of the leading causes of death for kids and teens. It's something, of course, we never want to hear or have happen. And experts say asking about guns, whether they're secured inside a person's house when their kid is going to visit, maybe for a play date, that can really save lives. So this year alone in the U.S., there have been at least 84 unintentional shootings by kids. Unfortunately, 37 of them had died. And that's why experts say making sure guns are secure secured in the homes that your kid is visiting is really, really critical. It might be a tough question, but it's something that should really be tackled before play dates. Even sometimes if you're visiting with relatives, maybe people who you might not be as close with. Experts say you should make it a routine question, just like you'd ask any parent if their kid has any food allergies. One doctor warns against assuming that guns are secured in people's homes. Instead, just make it a practice to ask everyone and be very clear and direct.
Keep in mind, this is not a personal attack, or you're not debating anyone's beliefs or their rights to own a gun. Your only concern is your child's safety.
Now, if you are uncomfortable with the answer that you get, she says you should try and make a new plan, and this could mean asking the parent, maybe let's have their kid come over to our house instead of your own kid going over to theirs.
But I like the idea about starting that conversation.
Absolutely, it's so important.
Great advice, Maria. Thank you. We'll be right back.
All right, time now 7:15 as we start this Monday morning, or I called it earlier in the show Tuesday. You could just skip ahead to Tuesday, right? I don't think anybody was upset about that. I just totally forgot what day it was. We're taking a live look outside the Midtown and the downtown areas, or we were just a moment ago. It's going to be our fourth day of a first alert weather day streak. This time it's not so much for the heat. This is instead for some storms we're expecting.
Yeah, the good news, we're shaving about 10 degrees off the high for today, but it's all about the storms that front is going to fire up later on. And I think the big story is going to be probably 3, 4 o'clock and onward into the evening where more and more storms will develop. So today, we'll watch for storms as early as noon, but this severe threat really, I think, gets going after 4, where wind is the main issue. Tornado possible from a storm or two, especially right along the front, and then some hail that's the size of a quarter or larger, the low end of severe limits possible there. So a 1 out of 5 for the entire viewing area, but you can see a 2 out of 5 for the yellow shaded area on the risk scale here. So we're not expecting a widespread severe weather outbreak, but I do think, especially southeast of the metro, the storms themselves could be pretty widespread with some severe weather in there. So let me show you how things are playing out. Got a few showers out ahead of the front, really not doing much with those. Some storms behind, they're moving northeast, and that'll be the motion of the storms. They fire up. The front itself is moving southeast, but the storms that fire up will run along the front, and that could be a recipe for some heavier rain out of these later on today as well. So there's the front, that little green line on the radar, and out ahead of it, there's been a couple spotty showers. They really aren't amounting to much, so not a big deal. We're right around 80 right now, and now we're going to start to warm up a little bit before the front moves through, and that's why I think we could spike to 90 today, but it probably happens around lunch. There's the cooler air behind the front. You got some 60s and 70s. It's still going to be muggy. no matter where you're at. And between any of the storms, the UV index is going to be high today, even with some clouds around. So keep that in mind. You still want sunscreen, even though it's cooler. Remember, that has nothing to do with the temperature. It's all about the UV rays getting through. By noon, there's some spotty storms possible. After 4, though, notice how quickly the chances go up, especially from 4 to 8 o'clock. And then it still persists overnight right into the morning hours of Tuesday, where there's still going to be some storms. So today's a First Alert 6 weather day. We'll watch if you tune in tomorrow morning. And there's still quite a few storms on the map, like this model suggests. We may just keep the First Alert weather day rolling for the morning hours tomorrow until we get this cluster of storms out of here and quiet things down a little bit on Tuesday. So partly cloudy skies by noon, 1 o'clock. And then into the evening, you got a couple more storms that'll fire up with the heat of the day by Tuesday evening. More chances than on Wednesday. Overall, highs a lot cooler this week. Low 90s at their worst through the middle of the week. So you got storm chances today, tomorrow. Still some on Wednesday, early and late in the day. Thursday has some chances. We'll watch out on Friday's chances. Got the Memorial Park concert. I hope that works out and we avoid some of those moving through. Although it look a little spottier by then, the way things are trending.
All right, so a lot of rain chances this week. How much rain are you anticipating we get?
I tell you what, there's pretty decent chances even into the weekend too. So got about 7 days worth of rain and thunderstorm chances here as we head towards the end of the month before we quiet down a little bit. And you look at the rainfall potential here. This is a map showing it over the next 7 days. So basically through that next 7 days that showed you all those storm chances, and you get up 2, 3, 4 inch rain potential, and this is kind of broad brushed here. I would not be surprised if some isolated storms give us a little bit more. So we'll have to watch out for some flash flooding potential, I think, from some of these storms, especially if they start developing and passing over the same areas round after round. And that's something to watch this week with these.
Okay. All right. In the meantime, let's get another look back at traffic this morning. We've been talking about all the construction that's been going on, but how are the roads also looking this morning?
Well, thankfully, we were mostly looking at incident-free, at least, as we're starting off our day. We've got a nice look at 4 different spots around our metro. You've got the top left, that's 144th West Dodge. You've got right around 84th and Dodge in your top right. On your bottom left, that is I-80 around 60th, and then of course this is Epley as you're looking through the morning. All of these are moving along in pretty solid shape, so no real problems. And if you were in town for the College World Series, first of all, thanks for coming. Hope you had a good time, and congrats to LSU. Also, if you're leaving town today, going to the airport, things look pretty good. At this point, we don't have any real issues as you're making your way along Abbott Drive in the early going. So that's encouraging. Now, I was just talking about the on-ramp to 480 closing to go southbound from Harney. This is not the only new construction that is taking place today. We've got some shifts taking place in Midtown that you need to know about. Eastbound Farnham from 36th to 33rd closing to traffic. Already some impacts in that area, but you're also going to be looking at 36th south of Farnham closing both directions. You've got 37th already closed. That's still scheduled for 1 more week to be closed. So a lot going on in that area. You do have the reopening of Farnham between 33rd and Turner, and then 33rd northbound near Farnham opening. So it's not all bad news, but just a lot of changes going on.
All right, thanks for keeping us updated, Jarrett. We appreciate it. Still ahead this morning, the Fun Way, one retirement home in Louisiana, took part in the College World Series festivities.
Plus, Krispy Kreme unveiling its newest donut collection. We'll check it out after this. All right, it is almost America's birthday.
Yes, and Krispy Kreme is celebrating the holiday early with their new collection. So this is the Stars, Stripes, and Sweetness collection. It's available at participating locations. It includes the Freedom Ring, the U.S. Party, and the Vanilla Cookies and Cream Liberty Crunch donut. To score a freebie, be sure to stop by Krispy Kreme on Independence Day. Customers who wear, all you have to do, people, is wear red, white, and blue, and you will be able to get an original glazed donut for free. That's it.
Easy enough.
You'll probably have it on anyway, right? For the 4th of July?
On fried dough, and I'm there.
Okay, this is one of our favorite stories. The Tigers take it again, so congratulations to LSU. But LSU gets their 8th national championship over Coastal Carolina. But making that 14-hour drive to Omaha for the CWS wasn't on the table for a retirement home in Baton Rouge.
So the College World Series instead came to them. Rocco's teamed up with Omaha Steaks to make burgers and hot dogs. They also made their own College World Series Jell-O Shot Challenge.
Have you ever done a Jell-O shot before?
My very first Jell-O shot was for the first game, and somehow that picture went viral, and my grandkids, my friends, people all over the place were calling me, and I said, I don't drink Jell-O shots. I swear I don't. I had one that night, and I've got one today.
Heck yeah! Rocco says that LSU now has the #1 and #2 spots on the all-time leadership board for the Jell-O Shot Challenge. That's more than 50,000 sold at this year's tournament.
Wow, they love them now. Turn it up. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. You can watch our update of the Today Show here or over the air.
All right, see ya.
Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
Good Monday morning, everybody. It is 7:26. I'm Cerise Cole.
And I'm Erin Hartley. A lot to get to this morning. We'll start with our First Alert Weather Day coverage with Rusty Lord.
Yeah, not about the heat today. We're going to shave about 10 degrees off those highs, but the cold front doing that will try to spark some storms, and it looks like afternoon is the earliest. Best odds and increasing chances really ramp up after 4 o'clock on this First Alert Weather Day. Gusty winds will be the main threat from these, and maybe some flash flooding as the storms pass over the same areas over and over. So the First Alert forecast today gets you up near 90 around lunch. We'll fall back into the 80s. It will be muggy regardless of the temperature, but storm chances as early as noon, better odds after about 4 or 5 o'clock, and that's when the stronger storms would likely get going. Here's the latest severe weather risk area. 2 out of 5 on the scale for a good chunk of our area. The yellow shade, including the metro, is where the best odds for severe weather will be. Right now, you can see there is the front. It's not doing much, couple little showers. It's going to take a little while for it to kick up some new storms, but that's what we'll be watching. And remember, it's going to be muggy all day regardless. Be mindful of storms after 4 o'clock especially. Jarrett?
A couple slowdowns that we're seeing as you're making your way along Highway 370 westbound right near I-80. You've got things a little bit sluggish through that stretch and backing up right near that interchange. So watch for that. We've had a decent improvement on I-80 through the construction zone. Still maybe a little slow as you head through there, both eastbound and westbound. So watch for that this morning as well. And a little busy on Dodge and Maple, but nothing that is a big delay for you as we start off the morning.
All right, some breaking news we are following. And a person is in the hospital this morning with serious injuries after a late night shooting. Authorities say this happened near 16th and Katy. So far, no word on what caused the shooting.
It is 7:28. We are back with another update for you in 25 minutes. We'll see you then.